In this video, we're going to talk about offering plans as it relates to new development apartments in New York City. If you're buying a new development, do you have to pay for the offering plan? It's a very common question we hear from our clients. I'm Nick at HouseIt. We can save you money if you are buying a new development or any other property in New York City through a HouseIt buyer closing credit. Learn more by visiting houseit.com. So let's go ahead and get started on today's topic, which is to look into whether or not the buyer is responsible for purchasing or paying for the offering plan when buying a new development property in New York City. Now, just to take a step back, the reason why this question is very common is because it is not uncertain with respect to who actually pays for the offering plan in the case of a traditional resale. And by that, we mean a property that's not new development. You're buying it from somebody else who either bought it from someone else or bought it from the original developer a long time ago. For any traditional resale, non-new development, it's standard across the board that the seller basically is the one who pays for the offering plan. Now, typically a seller should hopefully already have the offering plan because they were provided it by the prior seller, but sometimes the seller loses it and then they have to go to their managing agent of the building, and that managing agent will always charge for a replacement. So just to be clear, if you're not buying a new development and you're a buyer, of course, don't pay for the offering plan. It's the seller's responsibility to provide you with all due diligence documents at the time of an accepted offer that includes the offering plan as well as all amendments to the offering plan. But going back to new construction, it's not so clear cut. And what we're going to do in this video is we're going to actually go through documentation for 7 different new development buildings in New York City so that you can start to draw conclusions as to what the market norms are with respect to who pays for the offering plan. So let's go ahead and get started. Already here on the screen, you see we have one procedure to purchase. Now, every building, new construction building in New York City, will have a procedure to purchase. It basically outlines the steps you would take if you are interested in moving forward with an offer and hopefully signing a contract. And it is usually on this document in terms of who's going to pay for the offering plan. So in this case, we see it right here on page 1. It says provide a check for $300 made payable to the developer. And it says here it's a deposit. So if we look in the fine print, it says here that essentially you'll get the money back if you return the offering plan within 30 days of receiving it and it's not like destroyed, it's in the same condition, or if you actually sign the contract, you're going to buy the property, at closing, they'll apparently refund you the $300. So in this first example, the answer to the question is that the buyer does not pay for the offering plan, but they do upfront a deposit, which is subsequently refunded. But it would be a cash outlay to the buyer, temporarily upfront at least, of $300 in this particular case. So let's go ahead and look at the second example. So here, procedure to purchase, once again, it says you will be asked for a deposit check in the amount of $300 for the offering plan. Now it says after signing your option agreement, your $300 deposit will be refunded to you post-closing. Now, option agreement is basically another term to describe the purchase contract for a new development, more or less. So again, in this building, you essentially aren't paying for it as a buyer, but you do have to upfront the cash, which will be subsequently refunded to you post-closing. However, if you don't end up signing the contract, this building only allows you 15 days to return the offering plan, whereas that other building, the first one, gives you 30 days. But in both instances, the buyer does not actually pay for the offering plan because it is theoretically a refundable deposit. Whether you buy it or not, there is a way for you to essentially get the money back. So let's go ahead and look at the third example. And once again, we can see right here that to proceed with purchasing a condo, you need to fill out a form, pretty standard, submit offer form, and provide a check for the offering plan in the amount of $200. So here we see that the offering plan is a little bit less expensive. It's $200 versus $300 for the first two. But we don't necessarily see anything about the offering plan being refunded. So if we scroll down, it's going to show you the various closing costs associated with the new development. Here's a typical submit offer form. And this, of course, is the language referring to the offering plan payment. but there doesn't appear to be anything in this particular one which suggests that it's refundable. So obviously you would want to double check, but in this particular case, the buyer does pay for it because it is not necessarily a refundable fee. So let's go ahead and look at the fourth procedure to purchase. And in this one, let's see what we find. So if we scroll down, it says, to proceed, fill out a submit offer form. We've seen that before. Include a pre-approval if you're going to finance, standard. But then in step 3, it says, next, the purchase agreement and offering plan, including any amendments, will be sent directly to your attorney. So absent any additional information within this specific procedure to purchase, it doesn't appear to be the case that the buyer has to pay for the offering plan, nor does it seem like the buyer actually has to make any sort of temporary deposit for the offering plan. So this looks like one of the more favorable buildings in that respect, certainly relative to the ones we've already reviewed. So let's go ahead and look at number 5. And once again, it's right here on the first page. You will need to provide a deposit check in the amount of $200. And it also says it will be returned to you after you close. And if you decide not to purchase, the deposit check will be refunded if they receive it back within 10 days. So this is like a little bit of a hybrid of all the previous examples. The fee is on the lower end. It's $200 versus $300. It is refundable, so it's not a fee necessarily. But this particular building only gives 10 days to return it, whereas I think our previous examples, one building allowed up to 30 days, and I think the other one was about 20 days. So nevertheless, in this particular case, the buyer officially is not paying for the offering plan, but they are upfronting a small amount of money in the form of a deposit. So let's go ahead and look at number 6. This is building number 6. And here we go. Second bullet point, a non-refundable check in the amount of $250 for the offering plan. So this is pretty clear. It says non-refundable. So in this case, the buyer is definitely paying for the offering plan. And let's go ahead and look at our 7th example. And let's see what we find. So to proceed with purchasing, fill out a submit offer form. Great. And then it says, next, the contract and offering plan, including any amendments, will be sent to your attorney. So absent any other information here, it does not appear to be the case that the buyer has to actually pay for this particular offering plan. But we can just double check, scroll down, and it doesn't look like it. So just to summarize then, the answer as to who pays for the offering plan for new development varies. It can either be the fact that the buyer doesn't pay, i.e. it's free, or it can be maybe that the buyer pays straight up, non-refundable, you have to pay. It's $200 or $300 usually. Or it can be that it's some sort of a deposit that you'll either get it back when you close, that means you've signed the contract, or if you return it within a certain period of time, you'll get your money back. And that period of time in the examples we looked at was either 30, 20, or 10 days. So we hope you found this video to be helpful. Just remember with a new development that everything is negotiable. And as a result, it's very important to have a handle on the closing costs associated with your purchase. We have a specific calculator on our website, houseit.com, that goes into great detail regarding the various closing costs associated with the new development. And you can also play around and customize it based on how your negotiation is progressing. So please feel free to check that out. The link is below in the description. And remember, we can save you quite a bit of money if you're interested in working with us on a new development purchase in New York City. Sometimes the rebates, we call them buyer agent commission rebates that we offer on these properties, can end up being 6 figures because new developments pay typically very high commissions to the buyer agent. And through our closing credit program, we actually give you back a large portion of the commission that were paid by the developer. So it's a great way to reduce your closing costs. If you figure in this particular example, you're looking at a $115,000 bill in terms of your closing costs. If you work with us, maybe we get you a rebate of perhaps $40,000. So that would literally cut down your closing costs by a huge amount. So please check us out, houseit.com, And if you like this content, please subscribe. I'm Nick at Houseit, and we'll see you on the next one.